This is the Crescendo Music Education Podcast, episode 90. This podcast is being recorded on the lands of the Turrbal people. I acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. They were the first music makers on this land. In this episode of the Crescendo Music Education Podcast, I speak to Claire Finlayson, an amazing music educator, and she works with choirs. She does lots of other things. You'll have to listen to the bio at the beginning of this episode to hear all of the things she does. And we'll hear about her, we'll hear about gratitude, but we will also then get into making choir accessible and building community within your choir. Even if you don't have a choir, as a classroom music teacher, I think there's a lot to learn about using singing in your classroom as well. But Claire is focused on choir, so let's get in and listen to my conversation with Claire. Hello, and I want to welcome Claire Finlayson to the Crescendo Music Education Podcast. Hello, Claire.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Oh, so exciting to have you because you're like just a really interesting person, Claire.
Thank you. Look, it's been 10 seconds in and you've already given me a compliment. How nice.
Yes. Yeah, there's more to come. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
I'll stay then.
Yeah. And just lap it up and go, yeah, thanks. All right.
Cool.
We're starting with your bio. And so I'll just read it. Then you can have a chat if there's anything else you want to add to that at the end. All right, here we go. Cool. Claire Finlayson is a choral conductor, music educator, and vocalist. Her joyous energy and thorough understanding of how choral singing empowers, educates, and nurtures. Oh, I so agree. Yes. Okay, side note. Has made Claire a sought-after clinician. She is currently the coordinator of choirs at Brisbane Girls Grammar School, assistant conductor to residents of Birrallee, and immediate past president and committee member of Anchor Queensland/Northern Territory. Claire has 15 years experience working with choirs as both a conductor and chorister. During this time, she has worked with singers of all ages in school and community settings. Claire has also been fortunate enough to have toured to France, Belgium, Austria, New Zealand, the USA, Canada, and South Korea. Performance highlights include the Australian production of He's Not the Messiah, He's Just a Very Naughty Boy, with Eric Idle. You're the Voice, massed choral concert as a part of the Queensland Music Festival featuring John Farnham. The world premiere of Encounters of the Third Kind in concert as a part of the World Science Festival, and Anzac services in Fromelles, Pozières, Allensville and Polygon Wood. Before starting her conducting career, Claire worked in various jobs in theatre, both on stage and backstage. There's a lot there and sounding like really exciting sounding stuff. What would you like to either add or elaborate to the bio?
I suppose the only other thing it does sound like a lot. You never actually have your bio read back to you and then you hear it and you go, gosh, I've been busy. Somewhere in there, I was also a classroom music teacher, not for a very long time, I think maybe 3 or 4 years, but I had that experience as well, mostly in a high school setting, but some primary school as well. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Are you ready?
Do it.
Now, obviously, choir
please.
is what you love. I mean, this is
Yes.
that's where you've ended up and where your heart was. So when you were in the classroom, just looking back, all right, what are the things that stick out for you now that were like the positives of that sort of role? And I won't say the negatives, I'll say the challenges, the bits that made you go, actually, I think I just want to do choir. Because I know there's many classroom teachers that I know that would go, I would just love to work with choirs all the time. You know, it's the little heart bit of their role. So looking back, what would you say? The loves and the, I really don't want to do this.
Um, the loves, I adored my students, and they are always what drives me. I absolutely adored my students and getting to see them multiple times a week and getting to know them. And at the time, I was at Aspley State High School, so it was a smaller school, so you really got to know everyone, and I really loved being in that community. And you kind of recognized everyone's face. I didn't know everybody's names, but you definitely knew everybody's faces. And I loved sharing what I loved. It was great to be in a classroom and sharing what I love doing with young people and seeing how much they loved it and seeing how much they would embrace it. The challenges for me, well, I was very green. Like I was a new teacher, and the biggest challenge was being the only music teacher on staff and not really having a mentor. I mean, I had mentors in my head of department, I had mentors in drama teachers and stuff like that for general teaching, but when it specifically came to music curriculum and the best way to teach those units, I really didn't have anybody to sort of check in with on a regular basis, I suppose. So that I found that difficult, because I am definitely someone who likes to verbalize what I'm thinking and process it that way. Yeah, and I suppose the huge amount of paperwork that came with all of the reporting and all of that. I still do reports, but it's a far more efficient process these
and
days.
being part of the system too generates a whole lot of that admin paperwork stuff. There are times
Absolutely.
I just want to scream, just let me teach. Just
Yeah,
stop. Just
exactly.
let me teach. Get rid of the
Exactly.
other stuff.
And also I was going through, like, the school was going through a bit of a rejig of like the system, the learning system that they were using. So we were moving from whatever the fad was of language from that we'd start with, and then it was moving to this, and so trying to get on top of that, and then you just get on top of it, and then someone else would come in and go, oh, actually this is the newest research, and just, yeah, like you said, you just kind of like, can I just teach? I'll do my best, but I'm just gonna go and do it, if that's okay. That was
Yeah.
frustrating to
Yeah.
me also.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head. I think most people in the classroom are going, yes, yes. And you need those people to collaborate with, and you need the mentors,
Yes.
and you need to become certain in your own pedagogy. And you go, I know what I'm doing. Look, here comes a new bandwagon. Let's see
Yes,
if I can.
exactly. And you don't even get time to sort of even settle into the current bandwagon,
Bandwagon. That's
and a
right.
new one comes
So yeah,
along.
and I think the way that I look at it is, here I am. I'm happy with my pedagogical approach, and I know what I'm doing, and I've got a huge network of people that I work with,
Yeah.
and I make what I do tick the boxes of the latest bandwagon, and maybe do
Yes.
some adjustments. If there's a new curriculum document, maybe I need to change this various assessment tasks or whatever. I'm not saying I'm not saying I ignore. I'm saying I
No.
audit my practice and
Yes.
make it fit the next bandwagon. But you know what? When you're starting, how do you do that? You don't have
Well,
the knowledge,
you don't have
skills.
that toolkit
No.
yet to even, yeah, exactly,
Mm.
exactly. And my metaphor for my current teaching style is that I am a bowerbird. I go and just take what I like and then leave the rest, and I bring it back to my shiny little nest, and we have
Yes.
a lovely little nest of everything that I like. But when you've started, when you're a new, I don't have any nest.
No, that's
I'm
right.
building the nest, but my nest keeps getting run over, and I've got to rebuild it with this new foundation. And it was very confusing. I did find it
Yes.
very confusing.
Yeah, I love it. And I do love that analogy. And I can just see a bowerbird finding a shiny thing, running around with it in its beak, going, yep,
Yeah.
but I don't know what to do with it, but it's very
Where do I
pretty.
put it? Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was just a little sidetrack, but it was
No, I
interesting.
like
I
it.
like speaking to people that have uh, left the job, so to speak, as it is, and
Yeah.
just find out why. And
And I had like it wasn't a conscious move away from music teaching. Like I was enjoying it, and in my head it was going to be my career. It's just that this job, my current job, came up, and I just knew in my soul that I needed to go for it, and that if I got it, that was going to
that
be
was,
a new path for me.
and it's so
Yeah,
wonderful because I don't think, well, certainly in Australia, not many people get to work basically
exactly.
full time in the choral
Mm,
world.
yes. Yes, I am so fortunate.
So it's pretty cool, which actually
Yeah,
leads us quite nicely to gratitude.
it
So
does.
for what are you, so segue, see, we could say I planned that, but I didn't. Anyway, for what are you most grateful, Claire?
So I am extremely grateful for my job and my school for making my job a real thing. So my school runs the choral program like the state system runs band or strings. So we have our choirs, and then the girls can come down for a singing lesson, 1/2 hour singing lesson a week, and that's my life. That's what I do. And I'm really lucky that, my predecessors and the senior leadership teams have valued that and have kept that going. And it also means that I get to work with a team of other
Oh, wow.
choral teachers and music instrumental teachers. So I think we have 26 people in our instrumental department, and it's just glorious to be in such a big team every day. Every day, I am so grateful for my job, and I love it, and I'm not going anywhere.
Wow. So you
Staying there.
teach private classes? Are they small groups or individuals?
Yeah,
Did you
so
say?
groups. So I have groups of sort of anywhere between 4 to 8 kids, depending on what year level they're in and what unit we're doing. But yeah, just like a flute lesson or a violin lesson, they come down and have a 1/2 hour lesson together, and then they pop back up to class. And yeah, it's brilliant. I love it.
Oh, so when you're teaching them, you're obviously working on various aspects of vocal
Mm.
technique. Do
Yes,
you work on the repertoire for their choral work or other
not
things or both?
exclusively. Both.
Hmm.
If we have a big concert coming up and we're worried that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
at our staff meeting be like, let's have a week of choral music in our lessons. But on a more regular basis, they have their own. We have units. So our first sort of unit in the year it's called Focus on Foundations, which is all very technical based, but also stage presence based and looking at how you tell a story through song. Then we have a chamber music unit where we're learning about holding parts and holding our own harmony. And our favorite unit is the end of the year, which we just called Choose Your Own Adventure. And they get to self devise their own performance for the end of the year, which is always super interesting and super creative. And I've got to think on my feet. And I very much enjoy that unit a lot.
Wow. So do they all perform individually at the end of the year or in their group?
It's up to them.
Up to them. Oh my goodness.
Yes. My accompanying skills get really good in term 4 because I got to just pull out whatever they come to me with.
Oh, wow. That actually sounds a little scary. Like exciting, but
You can,
scary.
yes,
Mm.
yes, exciting, but a little vomit on the side. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, just that. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, I would like to talk to you about
Mm,
making choir accessible because that's
great.
one of the things that's close to your heart, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you have the same values as I really believe that music is for everybody. But as great as that is, putting that into realistic practice is difficult and tricky and logistically can be a bit of a nightmare because you just don't know what you're gonna get. So I have in our program we have four yes, four just all comers choirs, where there is no screening process whatsoever. And I know there's quite a lot of schools that do that, like the kids just enroll and they turn up with whatever they have, and they just bring it to the table and off we go. But the expectation is that those kids will I still believe that they are capable, and that we will reach a particular level of musicianship, no matter how much experience or how little experience that they have. I think sometimes what happens is we have sort of all comers choirs and then don't believe that they are capable, because anyone can do it. And for some reason, if we say if anyone could do it, then it's not valued. And I think it's actually the exact opposite. I mean, how often do you get to participate in something that anybody can be a part of, and we're all working towards the same goal? Like, it happens so rarely. It's like, hard enough to get people in a room, let alone working towards a goal together. So I think, just having that expectation that they are absolutely capable, and knowing that everybody has something to give, and it's my job to figure out what that is and utilize it.
And to help them all move towards that goal. It's about expectations. It is. I think
is.
That's the key, isn't it? You get what you expect.
Expectation.
And if you get them and you expect them, you're all comers, so I don't expect much from you. You're not going to get much from them.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You set that bar
and
high.
It's about trust as well, too, isn't it? Like, if
and
you come in and
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to talk, because like with any all comers group, you are going to get all of the funsies, and there will be all of the little joys and challenges. We like that word, challenges, that pop up with our different personalities and our different vocal types. But if you have I'm sure a few students are already coming.
I know.
To mind.
Do you know what? Everyone that's listening now is imagining
they know
their particular challenges and vocal types. Everyone that's listening, they're going, "Oh yeah,
right."
Mm-hmm.
We know. I mean, there's always, and I'm obviously not going to name names, but there's always that beautiful child who is always there half an hour early and wants to talk to you consistently while you're getting ready. And then, pitch is sometimes optional from that child, but damn, they are enjoying it.
Yes.
And aren't they the loudest child in the choir? They
yes.
And we both love those children
and
want to pluck our eyelashes out at the same time.
Yes.
But that's the brilliance of it, know? And if you get to know that kid, you will figure out ways of, maybe it's just where they're sat. Maybe if we put them on the end of the row, they can hear themselves better and they'll, feel more quiet, or they'll mix in with the group a little bit more. You can start to play around. But if you don't know that kid and you start to play around, it can be quite confronting to them. Like, why am I suddenly the center of attention for, do you know what I mean? So it's all those fun quirks that you gotta love the chaos. I think you gotta fall in love with chaos. Yes,
I think you do. I think yes you need to set those expectations. This is where we're going, kids, but for you've got to enjoy that journey, haven't you? Wherever you are, you've got to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Because we want those kids. You want the kids that, like, my aim, I'm quite lucky in that I literally have one choir, but there are 5 in my school. I've got the best one. I've got my grade 1, 2 choir.
They are the best.
Oh, yeah, the best. Yes, I have. Yes, they're the best. I seem to attract, there's usually close to 80 in that choir. they turn up.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
That's a
yeah.
lot of little people.
Mm. Yeah, if you were a fly on the wall, you would go, why are you doing
You
this to me?
gotta love
Because
the
I seem
chaos
to
in
I
that
seem to
situation.
attract the mm, quirky children.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Right. The quirky ones. The ones that run like this may have happened this year, maybe that one's runs,
Yes.
literally
Okay. Yep.
runs around the perimeter of the space.
Fabulous.
Yep,
Yeah.
for the whole rehearsal. Runs.
Wow.
So you've got, yes, you have to embrace the
That's what
chaos.
they need.
And I'm
Yes.
thinking,
That's
but
right.
I want them. I love them.
Yes.
They're the ones that I
It
want
matters.
to connect with music. I want them
Yep.
to create community. I mean, if I can
Yep.
help them to learn to sing in tune and be part of a musical experience, that would be amazing.
Fabulous bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even without that, there's so much to learn, isn't there? So,
Right.
but as you know, the lovely Catherine really, who has
Yes.
been on previous episodes, so she takes the other 4 choirs. But
Gorgeous.
that those little kids are where it really matters, I think.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking
Yep.
about accessibility. That's where you start building it. I mean, you get them
Oh my
older,
gosh, yes.
don't you? So that'd be a
Yeah, so
challenge in
I'm high
itself,
school.
wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if they've been
And
put off singing, how do
yes,
you win them back?
bring them back. Yeah, it's tricky. I am the queen of peer pressure manipulation. That sounds really horrible, but if I can get a friend in, then I can usually convince that kid to come and at least check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is not for everybody, but my own personality is just a bit odd and wacky and over the top and dramatic, and I hope it's fun. I really really do value joy in my rehearsals and play and silliness. I don't want them to leave a rehearsal and go, oh gosh, we just sat down for an hour and I was in trouble for most of the time and it was all very serious. I don't want that for my own, boredom in in rehearsal. So yeah, trying to break down, and believe you me, it can be tricky with some of those teenagers. They've got a real I'm too cool for school wall up, but if I can just chip away at that and just bring back some of that silly play back into their life, that usually is enough to sort of bring them into that cycle and start coming to choir again. But yeah, it is something that I have to work on every year. And of course, every kid is different. Finding that key in, sometimes it's, the offer of pizza, or hey, if you come to this concert, you get a whole day not in class. Sometimes it's the promise of singing Disney music. Also a great winner.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So is that all
So yeah.
part of making choir accessible to the kids?
Yeah, I think so. I think my greatest tool is the kids who are already in choir. They are going to be my
Mm-hmm.
fantastic ambassadors. If they leave choir rehearsal and then are sitting in lunch and talking to their friends and go, oh yeah, we did this, and this crazy teacher walked along the back of our chairs so we stood up, so we would sit up straight. She's a nutter. She could have broken her leg. Do you mean, if they're hearing stories about those rehearsals, then they're going to be more keen to sort of see what it's about, or at least come down and just have a chat with me and have a talk about, come and meet me, which is nice. And of course, you always come, like you were saying, you always have students who have different needs and neurodiverse, or we have a lot of you know what am I trying to say, exploration of gender and
Oh, yes,
um,
yes, yes,
those kind of aspects come into it now a lot too,
yes, yes.
particularly in high school when
High
all of
school,
that is
yes.
really just being explored. So you have a few of those sort of aspects to adapt to in your rehearsal as well. But I just think like if again, if I'm open in my communication with those kids and make it very obvious that it's no big deal, whatever it is, no biggie, we can make it work,
Hmm.
then I can say, well, what do you need from me? What do you need? And
Hmm.
I will see if I can get that to happen. Does
I
that make
love it.
sense? I feel like I've been ranting for a
Absolutely.
long time.
But no, it, mm, in my head, I'm just thinking it's coming down to relationship, isn't it?
A
And
lot of relationship.
you
Yes.
listening, like as part of that, a real relationship, not a
Yeah.
dictatorial, a real relationship. You're
Yeah.
listening to them.
Yeah.
They know your
Yes.
kids aren't stupid. They know
Oh,
you're
they know.
listening and you're trying. Even if you don't quite succeed, they think, hey,
Mm.
I appreciate she tried, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. They just want to be seen. They want to
yes.
be, they're not another chorister. They are a person who have interests and they want people to know
Yes.
that.
Who are
Yeah.
working with all of these other individuals towards this
Yes.
common goal, and look how great we are together. I
That's
like
exactly right.
it's what choral music
And I
is.
suppose, yeah, that's right. And, I have to remember sometimes, like, your voice is such a massive part of your identity. That's how people know who you are on the phone, and people know your laugh and they know your inflections. It's a major part of your identity. And I'm up there mucking around with it, you know?
Yes.
Do this and do this and do this. And for some kids, that's going to be really intimidating. So if
Intimidating.
I don't
Mhm.
have a relationship with them, if I don't have a trustful working relationship with them, then I'm not going to get far,
Mm. Mm.
because
Yes.
it is really personal. It's really personal.
And
Um,
I think that's where I I believe every instrumentalist should also be a chorister, because at least a little, I mean, I'm not saying it,
mm,
because I think that making internal music, I'm not saying they can't make their saxophone sing. I don't mean that.
no,
But
no,
when you're playing an instrument, the music is. So this is just a bit of Debbie philosophy, right? I'm going off on a
go for it.
tangent here. I believe that quite a bit of the music is external to you. Oh, look, I'm a
Mm,
bit flat, sharp, whichever. I'll pull this out a bit. I'll tune the strings
mm,
on the violin. There's, you can't argue. A fair bit of the music is external.
mm.
Obviously, it's got to be internal, or your playing will suck. Right.
Yeah,
But but with singing, it's completely you. It's very personal. This is
very
my
personal.
voice being generated by my body. It's so personal. And I think that
Yeah.
it improves instrumentalists if they can at least experience being a chorister and creating music that way as well. I think it's that important.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. From, their oral skills point of view as well,
Mhm.
their pitch just immediately improves. If they can physically make a pitch, then their pitch on their instrument is going to be
Mhm.
much more accurate. But also just, um, I think because like you were saying, like the music is external, but also it's kind of like it's there's an object, a physical object between you and your audience. And when you're
Mm.
singing, and it might be your instrument, and it could be a music stand as well. There's could be multiple physical objects between you and your audience. But when you're singing, either on your own or in your choir, the most you might have is a music folder if you're reading your music. But I know a lot of choirs mostly perform from memory, and there is no physical barrier between you and your audience. It's an immediate personal connection, which is why, you know, public speaking can be so terrifying for people, and singing on their own is just something that people, you know, couldn't even fathom that they would want to do, because that immediate vulnerability is so intimidating. So it is, in a, yeah, like if an instrumentalist can experience that, their relationship with their audience is going to be so much more as
Yes.
well.
Yes. Yes. That's, oh, you've actually just given me an epiphany, a personal epiphany.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Shall I share? Well,
Please do.
I've been reflecting. I've been to a couple of pub choirs, right? And
Brilliant.
and it is brilliant. And yes, I should put in the show notes the episode where I had a chat with Astrid. She's done so much to lift the profile of singing
Yeah,
together, you know, and
agreed.
she's obviously very brilliant. But when I go, I've got to be front row center. I like, and I'm going, okay, is it just because I'm a media tart? Well, it could be part that, you know, but it's
You know,
not just that. And I've been thinking, what is it? What is it? And you know what? It is, I need to, I want that relationship. I want that close. I
yeah,
want to see I want to communicate with Astrid. I want, David Law was the conductor at the recent one. I made eye
yeah,
contact with David, gave him a little wave. I crave that connection.
yeah.
And I'm going with that. It's part of the reason why I really like being in the front row. So anyway, just a
I
little,
mean, once you've had a taste of it, it's pretty addictive.
it is. And
It
is
is.
that connection. And yeah, okay. I think that's a big part of it. All right,
Love
let's
it.
get back on track.
Yes, sorry.
No, it's me taking us off track. All right. So we've talked about making it choir accessible. And before we finish off this episode, talking about building community. Now, it's very
Yes,
connected with what we've been saying.
very connected.
Um,
Yeah.
is there a little more that you could add, that you could give advice to people about helping to build that community feel when working with
Yeah,
choirs?
absolutely. I have notes, so just let me
Oh,
scroll down
yes.
so
Go,
that I
go.
don't forget, because,
Go.
you know, I have a 1-year-old and things just fall out of my brain spontaneously.
You're being incredibly coherent
Gotta,
for someone with a 1-year-old, can I say?
thank goodness. I did have to change my top a few times before I got on because I kept finding food. Anyway, the life of a mother. So, anything that I can do to have the individual seen within the group, I do my best to make that happen. So I have a few like beginning of the year activities that I like to run. So I've talked about it a few other times at PD sessions that I've done, but I have a activity right at the beginning of the year, which is called Find Your Why. And I sort of talk about my expectations from them as a chorister for the year, and then I ask them, what is it that is driving you to come to choir each week? And be very honest. It might be you love singing, it might be my best friend is doing it, it might be mom is living vicariously through me. Whatever it might be, we're going to write it down on a post-it note, and we have a big pin board, and every single person in our choral program, which is just over 300 people, puts up their post-it note on the one board, and it stays up there the whole year.
Oh,
so that when we start to get tired, I can say, do you remember what your why is? Do you remember your why? Let's go have a look. Let's go look at our why and see if that's still relevant. Do we need to change our why?
Do they name them, or is it, do they put their name on it,
Totally
or
up
is
to
it
them.
up to them? Okay.
Totally up to them. They can be anonymous, they can put their name on it, and sometimes people illustrate, or it's just a word. But it's a really, first of all, it shows like it's them thinking about, well, why do I want to be a part of this? And then they get to add their word to the whole community. So not just the community within our individual choir, but this whole choral program. Look how many people are on the same team as you, and you can read each individual person's why, and you sort of go, oh yeah, I kind of do that too. So it's a way of sort of having a conversation without having a conversation, if that makes sense. So I really love that one. Another one that I've started, and I use my choir captain to sort of run this, or if you have ensemble captains, and it's just really quick activity of creating a group list of values, 3 values. So everyone submits a word. What do they think is important to working as a team? And then my choir captain picks the 3 that resonates with them, and she presents it to the choir and goes, right, in this choir we are proactive, we are respectful, and we eat chocolate every Friday, or whatever it might be. So each choir has their own little values, and I make a poster and we put them up on the wall as well. And I will refer to it quite often, to the point where my chamber singers, who are my top group, we had a little jingle. So one of their values was being proactive, and anytime I sort of said, right, I would like to do this, if someone got their pencil out and wrote it down in their score, everyone would go, being proactive, and that became our jingle, and it just became bigger than Ben-Hur. And so those little things, just come out of that activity, and I found that really fun.
They will have that in their head for
forever,
literally the rest of their life.
Yeah. Anytime that they do something proactive. They will find themselves
in a board meeting when they're 57 and something will trigger it, and they'll go, being proactive, in their head.
Yeah, and everyone at the board meeting will go, sorry, would you like to just explain what that was? And they'll have to go, well, way back when I had a crazy choir teacher. No, it was so yeah, that's been really good. Other things, like I was saying, lots of play, lots of fun, lots of joy, letting them get to know me a bit, let them ask questions about myself and what I've done and who I am, because I don't think you can have trust when I know them but they don't know me. Obviously to a professional level, but I think there has to be a two-way street there. I use lots of I don't often use teaching language in the rehearsal space. It's a lot of I'm excited to work with you, I'm excited to collaborate with you. Like I try to sort of even the playing field a little bit for them to understand that their contributions are just as significant as my contributions. So I found that really works too, because they're more willing to sort of suggest things, and I try to make space to allow them to suggest things. So whether that's at this point the composer has told us to crescendo. Do we think that works? Do we like it? What else could we do? Let's try this. Great. Charlotte, let's try that. Let's try Charlotte's idea. Let's try this. Which one do we like the best? Just really quick, simple things like that give them an opportunity to really be involved and be really conscious of the music making, rather than sing this note, right, we need to crescendo over this phrase. And obviously I do go into those modes, because let's face it, there are times where it's like, I got to pump out 3 new pieces of music in 4 weeks. Come on, people, move it along. But when I do have those opportunities to give them a really conscious moment of what are we doing, how are we doing it, the team is going to decide on how we want to interpret this piece of music, I will try to do that as often as I can. I think that was everything on my list. Oh, one more. I'm talking a lot. I was actually just reflecting, because I'm coming off a year of maternity leave, so I'm sort of reflecting and trying to get my brain back into choir directing mode. And I was sort of going through some old notes, and I came across, I went to a session that was run by Dr. Jason Fox, and his whole PhD in research is all about motivation. So he usually talks about motivation in a corporate sort of setting. But it was actually really interesting to see what drives motivation, particularly in teams of people. And the thing that I took away that I really want to improve myself with my choirs next year is, more than anything, more than, you know, bribes or the promise of extra money or whatever it might be, motivation is driven by tracking and making that progress visible. If your teams can see that they're improving at a consistent rate, then they're going to be more motivated to continue on, which seems really simple, but how often do I make that progress visible? I don't know if I ever make it really conscious to them. So that's kind of my goal next year, is to try and make their progress from rehearsal 1 to whatever performance we're aiming for, try to give them updates and go, remember where we were? Look how far you've come so far, and see if that helps our process.
That's it's not going to be that easy to do, but it's a great
No.
idea.
Yes.
You'll have to let me know
I will have
how
to
it goes.
brainstorm. Yeah, I'll have to brainstorm how I want to do that.
Because it does sort of make me think too that we don't celebrate enough for our progress. So you work towards even the performance. Yay, everybody's clap. Isn't that great? Okay, next rehearsal. Right, let's start this. You actually, I think
we don't take a breath.
We don't. And we don't do it personally either. You work towards something and you go, I've got to do this. Yes, was it? Yep, I did it. Good. What's next? You've jumped that hurdle and you don't take time to reflect and celebrate. So it actually makes sense to do that along the way to give you that extra motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like you said, you just keep rolling on. And you sort of get to the end of the year and go, oh, wow, I did a lot, but I never really appreciated where I was at that moment.
So I love that. You will have to let me know how you're going with that tracking and how you end up doing it, because I can see that there would be smaller, like I'm sure incidental things that you can build in, like you said. Oh, do you remember how we sang this phrase a few weeks ago? Do you remember what that was like? May even be little bits of recording.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. I mean, it's so much more accessible with, laptops and phones and all that, to just do a quick voice memo of whatever it is and have a listen back and go, oh, wow, look how far we've come. And not to not use it as a time to go, what's the critical feedback that we can hear on this recording? We do so much of that. And we just, particularly in the choir rehearsal, right? Because it's all, this is what I've heard, this is what we need to improve. This is what I've heard, this is what I need to improve. And that loop is fantastic. But at some point, I know, I'm definitely guilty of it. You get to the end of a rehearsal and go, oh, I never told them that they were doing amazing. That they would, that how appreciative I am of how hard they work. And I need to do that more often. I really do. Everyone likes to hear it.
We all need that. And I think that is a great time to say thank you very much, Claire. And we need to talk again very soon, okay?
Deal.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
As we know, laughter relieves stress. Don't lose sight of the funny side of life. A plateau is the highest form of flattery. It's a bit of geography joke. Thank you so much for watching our Crescendo Music Education podcast. For more information about all things Crescendo, including membership and music education resources, visit us at crescendo.com.au. Don't forget to like and subscribe.